Welcome to Proud to be a Baby Boomer, Episode 3, Boomer Dads, brought to you by WTV. I'm your host, Edd Schultz. In our previous episode, we took a look at boomer moms, who are obviously essential to bringing about the boomer generation. Today, we're going to take a look at some boomer dads. We're going to begin with some of the popular boomer dads on TV who influenced us, I'm sure, or influenced our parents. Then we're going to take a brief look at my boomer dad. We're going to begin with a boomer dad who you may or may not remember. This was one of the first boomer dads on TV. Or I should say, one of the first dads on TV who was portrayed in any way that we would recognize. This is a man who was in a TV series on ABC called The Trouble with Father. His name was Stu Erwin. Now, before we look at Stu, interestingly enough, back in 2014, TV Guide compiled a list of the 50 most popular or 50 best dads on TV. Stu Erwin didn't even make the list. But he was one of the first that we ever saw. Now let's take a look.
Hello?
Hello, dear.
Pop, I got something to show you.
What?
Mental telepathy.
Mental telepathy. Oh, Jackie, there's no such thing.
There is so. I've got a book and it shows you how to do everything.
That's all we've been hearing all day.
Maybe your book can tell me how to make out a family budget that'll come out even at the end of the month, huh?
Coming in at number 21 on the top 50 list is Ozzie Nelson from The Adventures of Ozzie and Harriet on ABC-TV from 1952 to 1966.
Wouldn't understand half pint.
Oh, yeah?
What the heck is going on here? Oh, I'm sorry, Pop. Why don't you watch where you're throwing the ball, wise guy?
What are you calling a wise guy, smart guy?
Who you calling a smart guy, wise guy?
Oh, come on, fellas. You sound like a couple of wild men.
Oh, we aren't really mad, Pop.
You just don't know us very well.
There's an old saying, you know, blood is thicker than water. Like to see you guys on the same side just once.
Number 30 on the list was the often blustery and frequently confused and bemuddled Chester A. Riley in The Life of Riley, played by William Bendix from 1953 to 1958.
Vote for me is a vote for prosperity. A vote for that gopher that's running against me is a vote for empty dinner pails and one pair of pants with every suit. I got planks in my head that'll satisfy everybody.
Hooray for Plankhead Riley!
Number 5 on the list was Danny Thomas in Make Room for Daddy, also known as The Danny Thomas Show, on ABC and then on CBS from 1953 to 1965.
Good morning, Mr. William.
Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Daddy. Morning, Daddy.
All right, what does everybody want?
And Danny Thomas was the first widower in a situation comedy. During the first 3 seasons, his wife was played by actress Jean Hagen, but then because of some contract disputes, she was replaced by Marjorie Lord. In the interim, Danny Thomas portrayed a widower who was looking for a new wife. Following Danny Thomas on the list at number 6 was Robert Young, who portrayed Jim Anderson in Father Knows Best.
Here are Robert Young and Jane Wyatt, with Ellen O'Donoghue, Billy Gray, and Lauren Chapin in Father Knows Best.
Well, why don't you do it? Oh, no, I wouldn't have time.
Well, why not? If it would only take an hour out of each day, you wouldn't be neglecting anything. I think it's a darn good idea. It's high time you started learning something.
Well, no. Of course, it is something I've been thinking about for a long time.
Well, then do it.
Well, I don't know. I'd hate to have to tell my friends my mother was still in school. They think she was awful dumb.
Don't worry, Jackie.
And I'd be awful ashamed if you got sent down to the principal's office.
Well, now I'm for it. How about you, Sam? Okay by me.
Another boomer dad who didn't make the list was single father Peter Graves, known as Jim Newton in the series Fury from 1955 to 1960.
Every herd has its own leader, but there is only one Fury. Fury, king of the wild stallions. And here in the Wild West of today, hard-riding men still battle the open range for a living. Men like Jim Newton, owner of the Broken Wheel Ranch, and Pete, his top hand, who says he cut his teeth on a branding iron. Wild as Fury is, that's the one human voice he's learned to love and obey. The voice of the boy who once saved his life, Jim Newton's boy, Joey.
Well, here you are, young man. First prize.
Gee, thanks.
Fine animal you've raised.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Well, Joey, second prize goes to you, boy.
Gee, thanks a lot.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You know something? I had a hard time deciding.
Joey, we made it. We sure did. We'd like to tell Fury about this.
Well, Joey, how does it feel winning that ribbon?
Gee, swell. He really won 2 ribbons. This one's half his.
Teamwork really pays off, doesn't it, Joey?
It sure does.
And 28 on the list was Hugh Beaumont, who played Ward Cleaver, father of Beaver Cleaver, on Leave It to Beaver from 1957 to 1963 on NBC.
Thank you very much, Eddie.
Dad, could we each have $1?
Yeah, I guess so. Be sure and bring the change back.
And number 16 on the list was Dr. Alex Stone, played by Carl Betts, on The Donna Reed Show from 1958 to 1966.
He isn't much in the eyes of the world. He'll never make history. No, he isn't much in the eyes of the world, but he is the world to me. My dad.
And another single father came in at number 32. That was Chuck Connors, who played Lucas McCain in The Rifleman from 1958 to 1963. And then there was my father, Edward L. Schultz, born and raised in Quincy, Massachusetts. Not a TV boomer dad, a real boomer dad. While in high school, he met and later married my mother, Lee Ruggiano. After my father returned from World War II, along came Donna and Ed Jr. The Schultz kids grew up in Braintree, Massachusetts, in a house that my parents had built for $15,000 in 1953. As I was growing up in the 1950s and 60s, my father and I used to watch a lot of television, especially Westerns. My father's favorite show was I think he always wanted to be a cowboy when he grew up. And my favorite show was...
This gun was handcrafted to my specifications, and I rarely draw it unless I mean to use it.
I think I always wanted to be a cowboy when I grew up. My father was in the Army and then the Army National Guard. I was in the Army National Guard. Unlike many TV dads, my father was not a doctor or an insurance salesman. He didn't work in an office. For most of his life, he was a sign painter, a craftsman. For many years, he had his own sign shop in Braintree Square, where I would occasionally work with him.
Rumors, lies, fairy tales.
And finally, when he retired, he and my mother moved to Florida, where they enjoyed playing golf, and he lived to the ripe old age of...
In the middle of my backswing!
Well, that's it for today. Thank you for joining us. In our next episode of Proud to be a Baby Boomer, we're going to be talking about baby boomer toys, like this Mattel Fanner 50. If it's Mattel, it's swell. In the meantime, we hope that you'll like, share, and subscribe using the buttons below. And if you have any questions, comments, views, ideas, and opinions, please be sure to share them in the comments section below. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time.